Hi, this is Imari from the Always Uttori blog, where we empower you to bring enchantment into your life through fashion, food, DIYs, and lifestyle content. Today, we're excited to welcome you to Christmas in the Greenhouse. This festive theme is inspired by the Apothecary color story we introduced in our Jumpstart Christmas video a few weeks ago. It's all about celebrating nature and embracing biophilic design with a traditional holiday color palette of greens and neutrals accented with playful pops of red. Many of the decorations you'll see in this video are DIY projects, and we will be sharing tutorials so you can create them for yourself in the coming days. So, join us as we transform the greenhouse into a cozy Christmas retreat. This greenhouse has truly been a labor of love. If you caught our garden video this past summer, you might remember me mentioning plans to build a greenhouse. Well, after months of hard work, we're so excited to have finally completed it, just in time for the holidays. To start decorating the space, I'm beginning with the Christmas tree in the left corner of the greenhouse. The tree is placed on top of this wooden box I made, which is one of the DIYs we'll be sharing in the coming days. The box is designed with screws in each corner to secure the feet of the tree stand. Once it's in place, the tree is so secure that I can lift the box with the tree stand attached. To cover the base, I'm adding some burlap sacks over the tree stand. These sacks are an upcycled touch, as they originally held a few pounds of corn we got from a local farmer over the summer. The tree itself is a pre-lit tree, so all it needs is to be plugged in. I've arranged a plug behind the tree to keep things tidy. I actually thrifted this tree last year for just $40. It was an absolute steal. It's such a beautiful, realistic looking tree. Definitely keep an eye out at your local thrift stores for high quality Christmas trees. Next, I'm assembling and fluffing the tree. It's always a good idea to wear gloves for comfort while fluffing. I recommend working by section to ensure even fluffing and to make it easier to reach every part of the tree. While I'm fluffing the tree, let's chat about the inspiration behind this holiday theme. We drew inspiration from the rise of vintage holiday decor and the timeless charm of apothecary and botanical motifs. But beneath these surface inspirations lies a deeper lifestyle influence: biophilic design. If you've been following the channel, you might remember when we shared nature-inspired DIYs back in August and talked about biophilic design. For those who are new, biophilic design centers around our innate connection to nature, integrating natural elements into our living space to promote well-being and harmony. The concept of biophilia, or love of life, was first coined by psychoanalyst Erich Fromm in 1973. He described it as a love of all that is alive: people, plants, ideas, and communities. Since then, biophilia has evolved into a design framework that brings the outdoors inside, creating spaces that are both rejuvenating and deeply calming. Biophilic design has been gaining momentum, especially since 2020, as more people embrace homesteading, urban farming, and community gardening. From incorporating plants into our homes to using natural textures and materials, this design approach not only improves mental and physical health, but also fosters environmental awareness. Do you remember the cottagecore trend from a few years ago? Or maybe you became a proud plant parent while stuck indoors. Perhaps rising food prices inspired you to start gardening. These trends all reflect our growing desire to connect with nature as a way to heal and find peace. This holiday theme, Christmas in the Greenhouse, is a celebration of that connection, blending vintage charm with biophilic design principles to create a festive, nature-inspired space. Now that the tree is assembled and fluffed, it's time to decorate. I'm starting with these miniature gold bell ornaments I made from aluminum cans. Just a quick note, you might notice the lights flickering on and off in some shots. That happened as I added ornaments, disrupting the connection between the lights. I eventually unplugged the tree while decorating so that it wouldn't be too distracting. If you watched our Goth for Coco decorate with me, you'll remember I pre-planned the tree's design by sketching out the ornament placement. For this tree, I took a looser approach since the theme is more organic and natural. I aimed for a diagonal pattern, placing ornaments in pairs to maintain a cohesive look while embracing a more relaxed style. Speaking of patterns, did you know that looking at natural fractals, like snowflakes or pine cones, can reduce your heart rate by up to 60%? Chintamani Bird, a biophilic designer, shared on the Biophilic Journal podcast in the episode How Our Brains React to Biophilic Design that fractals in nature, such as waterfalls, are incredibly soothing. The combination of a waterfall's repeating pattern and accompanying sound can lower heart rates, reduce cortisol levels, and improve focus and relaxation. During the holidays, you can recreate these effects with natural sounds like birdsong or the crackling of a Yule log. Pair these with calming scents such as Christmas pine tree, lavender, or citrus for an even more relaxing experience. We're using a faux tree this year, but if you're lucky enough to have a real one, don't forget to take a moment to breathe in that wonderful aroma. It's good for your mind and body. After the bells, I added these cedarwood shingle ornaments, another DIY project. Each ornament features a vintage-style botanical illustration to tie in the apothecary and botanical theme. These are the largest ornaments on the tree, so ideally I should have started with them. But I was so excited to see how the bells would look that I got a little carried away. It's generally best to start with larger ornaments to anchor the design and create balance before filling in the tree with smaller decorations. Next, I added these beautiful green baubles I thrifted a couple of years ago. I only had 4, but 1 broke during the decorating, so only 3 made it onto the tree. Even though they are few, I think the deep green color really makes an impact. After that, I placed clear baubles filled with dried flowers and wire, another DIY project, onto the tree. These ornaments perfectly complement the Apothecary theme, with their clear glass design reminiscent of vintage Apothecary jars. The dried flowers inside add a natural touch that ties back to our nature-inspired holiday aesthetic. I used these ornaments to fill in the remaining gaps in the tree, but surprisingly, I didn't need as many as I expected. The tree's thick foliage already gives it a full and lush appearance. For the finishing touch, I wove in this gorgeous ribbon from Hobby Lobby. The ribbon, which adds the perfect pop of red, was $22, but I got it for half off during a fall sale. Wired ribbon works best for weaving into trees as it provides structure. I pressed the end of the ribbon deep into the tree to keep it in place, then popped it out in loops, weaving it in and out of the tree branches. Weaving the ribbon after placing the ornament was a little tricky, but it allowed me to accent the tree's design more effectively. Finally, I secured the tree to compensate for uneven ground. The greenhouse floor isn't perfectly flat, so the tree leaned slightly to the right. I wrapped black craft wire around the top of the tree and anchored it to the greenhouse frame. This not only straightened the tree, but also added stability to prevent tipping. With the tree complete, I'm moving to the dining table real quick to create a statement piece using the sign I thrifted for $12.99 and a large wreath I've had for years. I started by fluffing the wreath, wearing gloves for comfort. Then I measured and cut 2 pieces of craft wire to attach the sign securely. Since the sign is on the heavier side, I twisted the wire around itself for extra stability. I attached the wire on either side of the sign's hanger and fastened it to the wreath. Next, I decided to replace the red bow with a new one made from burlap ribbon. To do this, I layered 2 loops of ribbon, making the bottom loop slightly longer than the top. I secured the bow with wire and added a ribbon tail, measuring it so it just touched the sign. Finally, I covered the exposed wire with another piece of ribbon, attaching it with wire instead of glue since I was working outdoors. One last piece of wire secured the bow to the wreath. Using natural materials like burlap is a great way to incorporate biophilia into your home and holiday decor. Other materials to consider include wood, like our ornaments, wool, linen, bamboo, stone, and fresh greenery. Cedar bows, for example, are easy to find during the holidays and bring a wonderful scent to your space. I hung the finished wreath on an S-hook attached to the metal frame of the greenhouse. After a few minor adjustments, the wreath looked beautiful, definitely an upgrade from before. Next, I'm decorating the potting table, starting with this winter bouquet I made as one of our DIYs. I placed the bouquet in a basket I thrifted a few years ago. To keep the basket handles from flopping over, I tied them together with ribbon for a cleaner, more polished look. And remember that red bow from the wreath? It didn't work there, but it looks fantastic with this bouquet, so I added it to the basket before placing it on the bottom shelf of the potting table. It also conveniently covers the stain on the bottom of the table nicely. On the top of the table, I'm adding the Santa figure I thrifted last year. Let me just say I'm glad to move the Santa outside. Something about its size made it unintentionally creepy in the house last year. Everyone in my family had a moment where they got startled by it. You know that feeling when you catch a human-shaped figure out of the corner of your eye? Yeah, that's this Santa. Next to the Santa, I'm placing our moss book DIY. This book adds a natural pop of green with real moss, tying in the biophilic theme. I also found a vintage botany book on my bookshelf, which felt perfect for the theme. After some experimenting, I decided it looked best on the top shelf. For a finishing touch, I hung a DIY bell on one of the tool hooks. Finally, to make room for decorating the table, I temporarily moved the basket holding my table setting supplies to the bottom shelf. If you're enjoying this Christmas theme so far, don't forget to give this video a like. It helps more people join in on the decorating fun. Next, I'm adding our DIY wreaths to either side of the greenhouse entrance. I made 2 matching wreaths that mirror each other. To hang them, I used S-hooks, just like I did with the other wreath. It's a simple and secure way to display them, and they frame the entrance beautifully. Now it's time to set the table. I'm starting with the chairs, which I thrifted for $14 each. They had some damage, so I repaired them and gave them a fresh coat of paint. Wicker is making a big comeback this year, and these chairs are perfect for a garden setting. One challenge was figuring out how to attach the chair backs without damaging the paint or relying on weak adhesive hooks. I ended up using S-hooks, covering them with burlap ribbon for a clean look. The burlap is secured in place by the chair back itself, which is another DIY project. For the table setting, I was inspired by the Apothecary theme and the many jars you'd find in an apothecary space. This led to a transparent concept for the table design. I'm starting with glass plates from Dollar Tree. For decoration, I cut pieces of burlap ribbon to fit the diameter of the plate's center. I added a dried cedar tip on top and tied everything together with a tan velvet ribbon. To complete the look, I added a clear plastic Dollar Tree bucket modified with a flower casting made of glue for a handle. This acts as a cloche, adding to the apothecary vibe while also protecting food during outdoor dining. Next, I added forks that resembled natural twigs or wood. You can't see the twig look clearly from this angle, but they add a subtle, rustic touch. Since I only had forks in this style, I kept the table setting simple by skipping other cutlery for a more minimalist approach. To finish off the place settings, I used colorful coupe glasses in greens and browns to match the theme. While I'm setting the rest of the table, let's talk a bit more about biophilic design principles. Biophilic design includes both direct and indirect interactions with nature, and both can greatly reduce stress and improve health. Direct interactions involve experiencing actual nature, such as living plants, natural light, fresh air, and sounds like bird songs or rustling leaves. They also include noticing seasonal changes. Indirect interactions use nature-inspired design elements like botanical patterns and textiles, murals or artwork of nature, natural colors and textures, and even scents or recordings that evoke nature. Whether direct or indirect, both can have calming, healing effects. So even if you don't have a greenhouse to decorate, you can incorporate these ideas into your home to create a more relaxing holiday atmosphere. To finish the table, I'm adding floral centerpieces and holiday-themed terrarium domes, both DIY projects. These pieces bring simulated greenery to the table and add pops of color to tie everything together. Another concept in biophilic design is creating a cozy space or green nook. These are areas designed for interacting with nature and escaping stress. We created a cozy corner in the greenhouse to serve a couple of purposes. First, it helps hide the unsightly blue power cord, an unavoidable necessity for outdoor dining and decorating. Second, the corner just needed something extra to tie it together. To create the space, I pulled in an old garden chair and added a cozy brown blanket. From this spot, you get a wonderful view of the decorated greenhouse, the outdoors, and you're right next to the faux fireplace, a perfect place to relax. Next, I added some greenery to a thrifted basket. The fabric cover on the basket is another one of our DIYs. The greenery inside was a thrift find from last year, and the sugar pine cones came from Home Depot this year for just $4.98. That's the best price I've seen anywhere, including Walmart. If you're on the hunt for high-quality sugar pine cones, it's worth checking your local Home Depot. After filling the basket, I hung it on the wall near the entrance of the greenhouse. Now that we've decorated the space, it's time to add a few final touches. I replaced the basket on the potting table with a small tree to bring in more greenery. Then I turned on the giant ornaments hanging in the center of the door framing wreaths. These ornaments are from Dollar Tree and have a solar panel so that they light up when it gets dark, adding a subtle glow to the space. They're not super visible in the video right now, but they do emit a nice glow when it's dark. With that, I think we can call it done. Now it's time to relax and enjoy this cozy space. Wait a minute. Ah, there we go. If you find this theme inspiring and want to bring calming nature-inspired elements to your holiday decor, here are a few tips to make it your own. Focus on natural materials like burlap, wood, greenery, and glass to create organic texture and visual interest. Greenery, whether real or faux, is key and can be incorporated through wreaths, ornaments, or centerpieces. Add pops of color, like deep greens and reds, to tie everything together. Remember the biophilic design principles we talked about. Incorporate both direct and indirect interactions with nature. Mix real greenery and natural elements with simulated nature like botanical patterns or nature-inspired decor. Don't just focus on visuals. Engage other senses with natural scents and sounds to create an immersive experience. If a full overhaul isn't practical, consider creating a small, cozy, intentional space where you can retreat from the holiday hustle. Even the smallest touch can make a big difference in crafting a serene and inviting atmosphere. Whether you're decorating a greenhouse, a dining room, or just a small corner, the goal is the same. Create a space that's warm, welcoming, and deeply connected to nature. If you loved this Christmas theme, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming DIY video where I'll show you how to create the projects featured today. Until next time, from all of us at Always Uttori, we wish you a safe and happy holiday season. Enchantment awaits. Life is just about finding it.